Next, Jesus never says he's God. And so therefore the Trinity is false. And by extension, the deity of Christ is false. Right? Because of course, unless you're some kind of, I don't know what, weird, I guess you could be a modalist or a Sabellian or like a oneness Pentecostal, because they don't believe in the Trinity, but they do believe that Jesus was God. So that there is a weird, but most of the time the anti-Trinitarian views, right, 95% of the time, they lead to the denial that Jesus is the Son of God, in the sense that he's fully divine and possesses the same nature as the Father. Right. Number one, false, litmus test, right? Jesus must say, I am the second person of the Trinity and I am God, right? Or else the doctrine is false. Right? That's a ridiculous litmus test. There's nothing that says that must be stated for the doctrine to be true, other than some sort of straw man that they've erected. But in fact, in many, many, many places, Jesus does say he's God, over and over and over, in fact, especially in the Gospel of John. So I'll be right back in just a minute, and we'll cover that objection. Number 5, Jesus never said he is God, or I am God, or there is Trinity. What did Jesus say? I am God. What did he say? Jesus God. What did Jesus say? Trinity. So, so number 1, coming to us, to our text, telling us what we have to expect to prove to them, right? Like, number 1, you don't set the standards for how to interpret our text, right? So, just like if I were to go to the Quran and I say, unless the Quran states it in the explicit words and terms that I want, then it's not they would be like, you don't have authority, you can. But they won't do that to us. Right? So it's the other way around. They won't grant the same hermeneutic principles to us that they expect us to do for them. Now, one thing I would point out is that as you know from our talks, right, most people who get into anti-Trinitarianism, so-called biblical Unitarianism, which is a joke, they fall under the spell of people like Dale Tuggy and these kinds of academics, or they've fallen into Jehovah's Witnesses propaganda, or they are under the influence of Islamic arguments, etc., etc. And the first thing to point out is that everybody loves scholarship. Oh, they want to talk about scholarship. Well, it's funny how, and I'm not, of course, denying scholarship, but scholarship is very selective in these debates, right? So, for example, if I were to say, go watch Dr. Bo Branson's presentation, he doesn't count because he's a Trinitarian Orthodox scholar. Oh, okay. So who am I supposed to listen to? Oh, go listen to, I don't know, a Bart Ehrman, right? Oh, so the scholar that I'm supposed to listen to is the unbelieving hack scholar Bart Ehrman, right? I'm not supposed to go to anyone else who is Trinitarian or is Orthodox, right? So there's Dr. Branson's talk, and I'm sorry, it's not my fault that the doctrine of the Trinity is complex, but if you want to get into the doctrine of the Trinity and you want a philosophical perspective, maybe you should go to a Trinitarian Orthodox analytic philosopher. And Dr. Branson is excellent at what he does. He's a gentleman, a scholar, Greek scholar. He's way beyond me in all those areas. Okay, I don't know Greek. I don't know the stuff he gets into when he gets into like the classical Greek, the coin. That's not my field. And Dr. Branson is a very capable analytical philosopher too. So now I do know some of that field, not as much. But if you want an example and you really wanted to learn the arguments, there you go. There's talk number 1, talk number 2, and then here is talk number 3. So those have only had a few thousand views, and to me that says, well, then you guys aren't really that interested in actually knowing what the arguments for the Trinity are. What a lot of the opponents, they just want some slogan like, easy. Oh, okay, give me the throwaway arguments that I can just spam into text or something. And that sort of lazy, dishonest approach, it doesn't do anybody any good. It doesn't do you any good. By the way, just think on your own grounds. Let's say you're a machine gun spam bad argument person. And let's say you spam machine gun into 1,000 different live streams, 1,000 different bad arguments, and let's say you got 500 converts. Let's say you were really successful as a garbage apologist, machine gun quote miner spammer. The people that you convert through this kind of method are not going to be stable converts. And in fact, when you use bad arguments to convert people, they're eventually going to come in contact with good arguments. They're eventually going to come in contact probably with challenges to their position. And they're eventually going to see through the dumb machine gun quote mine approach that you did, and they're going to leave. And they may go on to something worse, or they may go on to something better. But the point is that you're actually doing yourself a disservice to do machine gun spam apologetics, right? But the people that typically do that, they're too low IQ to even know that that's a disadvantage to their own position, because they don't really know. They're probably unstable people themselves, right? So they're just machine gunning things and hoping to get people. Yes, by the way, we do use Streamlabs. The Streamlabs link is in the show description. If you want to leave me a super chat, it's via Streamlabs. We'll get to these super chats here in a minute because we're about halfway. We've done the first 5. And I know I've been rambling quite a bit. We've gone for a while. But, we do have a big a debate upcoming in the next, I think, couple months. I forget the exact date, but Sheikh Asrar Rashid. And Sheikh is a little higher, level of authority and respect in the world of Islam. And so we'll be doing a debate on Trinity and Christology. I forget exactly the way we worded it, but that's upcoming. That's what we're doing here. Right? This is not. I'm not interested in the other people's. They're not making even arguments, right? So we're not going to respond to blasphemers. We're dealing with serious opponents, people who actually read the works and the things that we discuss. And Sheikh Asrar is actually reading the books that we recommended, thanks to Lewis. The first thing to point out with the Trinity is not, or Jesus never says God, or the Trinity is not biblical. That's obviously the next big one that we want to try to tackle.
Divinity raises the humanity in Christ through theosis, and that's exactly what we experience.